And welcome back to the Engage A podcast here presented by myself today. And just throw a quick little promotion for the podcast and myself. Follow my Twitter if you see it, if you're watching on YouTube. If not, at Drury Noah. Make sure to follow the Engage A podcast on all its social media accounts. And yeah, that's all I really got to say. Like, subscribe, share, follow if you're on the podcasting platforms, and stay up to date. All right. What are we going to get into today? Well. I mean, you probably already can tell by the title of this podcast. 5 QBs you need to know going into next year, right? Okay, so we didn't really do anything like this last year, but I think it would be a really good thing to do actually, because it gives you a little bit of an idea. Hey, when it's week one, you're like watching the game with your boys on a Saturday or out somewhere in public, and people are like, who is this guy? Or I don't really know much about this guy. I've heard the name. You can be like, oh yeah, that kid on his podcast, you should go listen, told me about him. So yeah, which you'd say the Engage A podcast, and he mentioned the specific guy for that specific team, et cetera, et cetera. Some honorable mentions that I'd like to name. I don't also know if they're going to start or if they're going to really pan out. I don't have the most faith in them. And that would be Curtis Wark, Jaden Maeva, and Malachi Nelson. Now, do I think those guys are going to suck? Absolutely not. They were up for consideration for this video. I just went with 5 guys that I believe in the most. And that's really what it is. Now, a lot of it is, some guys coming from a smaller school and transferring to a bigger school or group of 5 to power 4. And then some of it is they've sat on the bench and now it's their time to shine. So, and you might know these names if you all follow college football very heavily. But if you do, you might just need a refresher on who these guys are, why they're so talented and amazing. I'm not trying to be a Glazer, by the way. But just trying to let you know, hey, these are 5 guys that you probably should know, or you'll find out anyways in September, but you might as well know them in June, right? Who doesn't like to know things ahead of time? I know I do. Number one guy to start out with is Jackson Arnold, and these are no specific order. These are just how I have them listed in my show writing. Jackson Arnold. Jackson Arnold's a guy at Oklahoma who's has the potential to be the next Oklahoma great quarterback, right? He's got all the tools to make him the next great quarterback. Why he was so highly rated as a prospect, I think he's just got the mold of a modern day quarterback in college football and in the NFL. He's mobile. He makes decent throwing decisions so far, and that's only going to improve. He's got great arm talent. I think he's very coachable as a player as well. He can escape, he can run. He's just got all these physical tools and he's built molding into the mental tools. If you watch the Alamo Bowl, he didn't have the greatest performance, but it didn't start out so hot and he bounced back, and they were competing with Arizona against Noah Fafita, who was the guy that emerged onto the scene last year after Jane DeLura got hurt. He's going to be one of those guys. He's going to be one of these big names. I'm pretty sure he's in Heisman odds very at the bottom of the list. He's not going to be at the top, but there is a lot of potential here. And I think with having weapons like Deion Burks and Andrell Anthony next season, this Oklahoma team is going to be dangerous offensively. Now, what will they do at the offensive line position? I don't know. You'll have to watch the Engage evaluation for that one. But I do think Jackson Arnold is going to be a really good quarterback and have his name in conversations for, it might not be the Heisman, for the Maxwell or at one of the best SEC quarterbacks, right? I do think he'll lead them to Oklahoma to some sort of postseason success, whether that is a college football playoff or an SEC championship game. Who knows? Who knows? Will they win those games? I don't know. But I do think, and you got to keep in mind, he's only a freshman. He can't go to the draft until 2026, I believe. So, which you got to get on early on that as well. All right. My number 2 guy, Aiden Childs. Aiden Childs is a guy that has a lot of potential, right? We don't know too much about him. He was a backup behind DJ Uyunglele at Oregon State, which DJ is now going to play at Florida State for his 3rd team. Childs, he had limited time. He kind of wasn't really, they shortened the playbook for him, which they're going to do for a freshman anyways. He was a true freshman last year. Four-star prospect out of high school, second-ranked quarterback in this transfer class. He is a guy that has a lot of potential, and he's a really good athlete as well, right? You know, he's very athletic. He can run. I'm concerned. And I mean, saw the spring game. He had a really nice deep ball. He had a couple of nice throws, but there was those mistakes as well, right? It might be a little bit of growing pains, especially in out of conference play at the beginning of the season, but they should manage to win those games. So when they do get into Big Ten play, he's kind of, starting to build fire and everything. I really like him as a player. I really do think that he's going to lead Michigan State into having successful seasons, and they might not be as successful in 2024 as they will be in 2025 with him. Because Grant, remember, this is another guy that it's going to be a 2026 draft prospect. Hopefully, well, maybe if he wanted to stay in college for 4 or an extra year, he could do that as well. But I do think Aiden Childs he's got a lot of potential there. And this is one that you gotta kind of have to hope that he hits, right? And I think he will. He's given a lot of opportunity. He's given a lot of trust by the coaching staff, completely different role than what he was in last year. Last year is just developing his skills, getting to know everything. And he's already played under Jonathan Smith, right? So it's not like he's going from one system to the other. He's staying in relatively the same system. So, and I think Jonathan Smith's going to be a great coach as well. So I do see Aiden Childs having a lot of success. Jonathan Smith would be like, oh yeah, come over here to be the starter if he didn't see, the upside in him, right? Number 3. Ooh, yeah. This is a name that out of all the players on this list, I feel like everyone should know. It's been a backup for a couple of years now behind the Heisman winning quarterback Jaden Daniels, Garrett Nussmeier. And if you remember me last year, I said Garrett Nussmeier should be playing over Jaden Daniels, which probably not the greatest take, but there is a lot of draft potential in Garrett Nussmeier that he hasn't been projected yet, but it's because he hasn't played a lot of big time minutes. The only time I really remember him getting significant time in is that SEC championship game in 2022. And this guy, kind of like Arnold, he's got the mold of a modern day quarterback, and he's got a huge arm, and he's going to have a lot of targets to throw to. I know they lost Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr., but they got guys like Kyron Lacey coming back this season, and they're going to have new guys emerge as well. Why you should follow the Engage 8 evaluation when we get to teams like Oklahoma, LSU, Michigan State, and, maybe, I don't know if we'll get to some of these teams down the line, but we'll see. We'll see. But what I will say is Garrett Nussmeier's just got a lot of potential. And if you've watched him and you'll see these highlights, like, it's there. And I think he's just him taking the back seat in a Brian Kelly system and just developing. And he's going to only probably be a 1-year guy, whether he goes in the first round or third round, but there's first round potential there when you watch him play, and scouts are probably going to drool all over him, and he'll be in that mock draft article, like new quarterback in the top 5, blah, blah, blah. After he has like 1 or 2 big games, Garrett Nussmeier is going to be a guy that you need to know going into 2025 draft season if he's not already on your radar. Because when I look at a lot of these mock drafts, me and my friend were looking at them like a month ago, and we were like, what are people thinking? And I was like, Nussmeier's going to be a guy that people are going to regret leaving out of their list. Another big potential pick, but I think he'll be there. All right, these last 2 are going to be guys that transferred from Group of 5 to Power 4. With my number 4 guy being Talon Green. Talon Green is a transfer from Boise State who has excellent running ability and in terms of how he played last year, all right passing ability. But when I watch the Arkansas spring game, I see Talon Green taking a lot more shots. And granted, it's against Arkansas's defense, so take it from or might be their second or first string defense. But he looked really good, and he's a very natural athlete. He's lengthy too, but he threw some balls where I was like, I don't remember too much of this at Boise State, and he wasn't a great passer at Boise State. He was under 60 completion percentage. I don't think he threw even 2,000 yards. But you got to keep in mind, Boise State also had Ashton Jeanty. So, they're running the crap out of that option and mixing up the running game a lot there. I think Jim Harbaugh would drool if he had Taylon Green and Ashton Jeanty, even though I guess JJ and Blake Corum are better players overall, obviously. But, just the terms of at caliber of athlete that was at Boise State last year. I don't know why he's Jim Harbaugh. I just thought of, a team that runs the ball a lot, but that's besides the point. I do think Taylon Green in a Petrino offense has a lot of potential, but yeah, I I really like him as a player. I don't think he'll be necessarily a high draft pick or have a lot of pro potential necessarily. I just do think that he's going to be a guy that's going to get a lot of attention around his name just because of the caliber of athlete and how much he raises a floor by being a plus in the run game as well. And it's not like a KJ Jefferson where he's a bulldozer at like 6'2", 240. I mean, he's like 6'4", 6'5", just over 200, maybe in the 210s. But he's got big plays capability. And I think with these receivers at Arkansas, being developed, there's a lot of potential there. And Arkansas, I mean, Sam Pittman's on the hot seat, but in a Petrino offense, man, who knows? Who knows? And my last guy, and if you have not watched the Engage A podcast at all last year when me and Robbie talked about this kid, man, you missed out because Daquan Finn, he is one of the best quarterbacks probably to play in the MAC in a while. He's got a lot of dual threat ability. He showed out against Ohio State in 2022, I believe. Yeah, I think it was the 2022 season. Led Toledo to the MAC last year, the MAC championship game. I honestly don't remember. I think, no, was it them or Miami, Ohio, that one? Either way, Daquan Finn, he enters the portal. He's going to Baylor, which I thought was an interesting choice because I think he could have played somewhere better. But he's a fifth-year senior. He's going to be a guy that scouts are going to look at as a like sixth-round guy. And he's not very physically imposing. He's a smaller QB, but man, does he know how to run and does he know how to throw the ball? His mobility and his ability to throw while running is something to watch. He is a very complete player in that aspect. He's not going to sit in the pocket for a very long time unless it's short, quick throws. He wants to get out, he wants to move, and he wants to be dangerous. I will say Daquan Dangerous Finn. That's actually a really good nickname. We're going to put that on there. No, but seriously, when he's outside of that pocket, though, he is dangerous because his ability to move in the run game and get into open space and read blockers is great for a quarterback. He runs like he's a running back almost, just at the quarterback position, not necessarily in terms of like trucking, but like how he reads the field in front of him in his ball carrier vision. And then he can throw it down there too. There's a couple of plays he's made where it's like 40, 50-yard throws while outside the pocket. I mean, he's just able to be such an improviser and, use his running ability and his running threat to his passing game. That's led to a lot of success for Toledo these past couple seasons. But yeah, that's the video, guys. This is quick, short. If you're going to the gym or on a commute somewhere, just put this in your podcast feed. Quick little YouTube video if you want to turn it on at night and listen to it. And as you're, rolling back with those Z's, you can just hear about these guys. And when you wake up the next day, you're like, oh, what did he actually say about this guy? I want to go back and watch. So yeah, I don't know when you're listening or watching this, but like I said, like, subscribe, share, and let me know if there is a position or a player or a position group, I should say, or team that we should get into next. Thank you for watching.